Hello, and welcome to another episode of Aphantasia Experiments and the Psychic School podcast. I have been a bit quiet for the last week or two. I went through a phase of pumping out several podcasts, and then I went quiet, and it's because I've been going through a bit of a dark night of the soul, which is basically what I say when I have to retreat a bit. I have times where I'm like super active with my friends, sending voice notes, talking, and then I have these periods of time where I feel like I have to retreat and like meditate and just be alone and quiet. And I don't know why that is. I feel like when I meditate, I get a lot of downloads and information, and like I learn a lot and I grow a lot. And this all comes from like this past year of my life. I've really learned to like listen to my body and my needs and understand that like my anxieties are here for a reason, and I need to listen and grow and experience everything that my mind and body is going through. And in those periods of time when you feel really low, it's a really great time to kind of evaluate what's working in your life, what's not working. And if you never have those times of sadness or stress, you wouldn't be able to evaluate, right? If something's bothering you, a lot of times when we're in this like good hormonal stage, you're able to just power through, but I don't think that's the point of life. Life isn't about powering through, it's about enjoying, the moments in your life. And I think that when you have the low moments, it's a really good time to assess what's working, what's not working, try, and then when you're in the better part of your cycle, you can make adjustments to be in a better place if once you're in that mode again, right? And I'm not just talking about like the female cycle. So what I wanted to do in this episode was talk about the seasons of our life and how we as human beings kind of mimic nature. And I find with my like spiritual development, I often look to nature to give me guidance on the things that I'm going through in my own life. So recently I saw something on Instagram, and I did a bit of research after, and the actual study the thing that they posted on Instagram wasn't completely accurate, but the point that got across was very valuable. So I'm going to tell you what they said on the Instagram post, and then I'll kind of tell you what the actual study was. But they did this study on redwood trees. I believe it was in 2018, where they injected the redwood trees with adrenaline so that it wouldn't go through the wintering process. And in this study, because the trees weren't able to have that period of rest where they, don't have to grow leaves and flowers and whatnot, the trees ended up dying. Which says a lot, right? Like we need periods of rest, and we need to rejuvenate. We need to take time for ourselves to feel things. We need to look back on our past and like process emotions, and we need time to deal with stuff. We need rest. We need space. And I think in our culture, especially North America, our society is like go, go, go. We have this work hard, capitalist kind of situation going on. And I'm losing my train of thought here, sorry. I think it's just so important that we listen to our bodies, and listening to our bodies is really, really, really hard when we never take a break, right? If you're on your computer all the time, and then you get off your computer, you go home, and then you're on your phone, and you cook dinner, and then you make lunches, and then you go to bed, and you watch Netflix, and then you I'm literally describing my day. But I reached complete burnout this year, and I'm taking the time I need, and I know it's not easy for everyone, but even just like not watching TV at night sometimes and just doing a meditation, I feel like is so valuable. Even before I quit my job, I started going to meditation classes at my gym, and that's been like something for me, just for me, to love myself and to be with myself to process what I need to process. And it's been such a game changer for me. And meditation might not be the thing that helps you, but taking a break and taking time to actually enjoy your life instead of just live your life, I think that's really important. So the redwood tree thing, I wanted to actually say what I just took a note here on my computer. I'm just going to bring it up. The results of this study, when they injected 20 mature redwood trees in a California forest. They injected them with adrenaline. The adrenaline was chosen because it mimics a stress response, and the researchers wanted to stimulate the psychological reactions that trees might experience during periods of drought-induced stress. So the response was, they measured various physiological, not psychological. Why did I say psychological? Clearly I can't read. Physiological parameters. I shouldn't be reading off. Like, I'm so much better when I just walk in a circle and talk. This is why I don't do my podcast like this, but I wanted to share the actual science, because you see stuff on Instagram and it's not always completely factual. So the team measured the adrenalized group of trees, and they measured various parameters. Why can't I say parameters? Parameters. It looks like that, when you look at a word and you're like, that word is not real. That's this word. Parameters. Anyway, such as water, sap flow, and the opening and closing of the stomata, which is the small pores on leaves responsible for gas exchange. Didn't know that, but the internet told me. Fun. So the results were surprising. The most remarkable finding was that the redwood trees injected with adrenaline exhibited an immediate and significant increase in water uptake and transpiration, which is the water loss through leaves, compared to the trees that weren't injected. This response suggests that the trees were sucking water from the soil at a much higher rate, similar to how animals might increase their heart rate in response to stress. So basically the implications of this is it just kind of explains how trees respond to drought stress. It suggests that redwood trees have the capacity to respond to stress by enhancing their water uptake and usage, potentially helping them survive during prolonged droughts. Basically, the trees are kind of doing something different to get the water that they need, but they should be going through their seasons. Anyway, so the actual Instagram thing that they put out there is not even really true, but I still think the message is really important, that we need periods of rest. The other thing that I really think about when it comes to seasons is our moon cycle. And if you don't think the moon affects you, I don't know. I will try to convince you here. This is what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to convince you that the moon does affect everything. It really does, I think. I don't think this is just an opinion. I think this is scientifically proven, but think about, okay, the moon affects, what does the moon affect? It affects, for me, I remember when my kids were little, they're still pretty little, but when they were, between 1 and 5, anytime there was a full moon, I was texting my friends who also had toddlers. We'd be like, oh, good luck tonight. It's a full moon. The kids are going to be crazy. And it honestly, especially babies, they're always up at night. Okay, so think about the environment and what the moon does to the environment. It affects our tides. So the moon has a gravitational pull. Think about that. It has a gravitational pull, and it's affecting the tides. It causes the tides to rise and fall. It's affecting the water And we're 80% water. Think about that. Of course it's going to affect us. High tides typically occur during the full moon. So right now there should be high tides. It's a full moon currently today. There's another reason I wanted to record this today. It's Thursday, the 28th of September, and it's a harvest moon currently. Beautiful moon. It's so pretty. Saw it last night. Today is the actual full moon, but yesterday it was fairly full. High tides typically occur during the full moon and new moon phases when the sun, moon, and earth align. These tidal patterns influence marine ecosystems, navigation, and coastal communities. So it's like, it really does impact us, right? The moon also impacts wildlife. Lots of animals, especially nocturnal ones because they're out at night, exhibit different behaviors during specific lunar phases. An example of this would be some types of fish are more active and likely to feed during a full moon, which makes it the perfect time to go fishing. If you want to catch a fish, go during the full moon. You know, if you're a new fishing person, try fishing during a full moon. It's the optimal time for fishing. Also, predators often use the darkness of a new moon for hunting, as it provides better cover, right? Like you can hide better in the dark, so that's a better time for predators to pounce. Not that all predators pounce, but I have this like vision, not a vision because I have aphantasia, but a vision of like the Lion King, you know, learning how to pounce on that bird, whatever the bird's name is. What's his name again? Zazu. That was the thing that came into mind there. That's why I said pounce. Also, the lunar phases affect gardening. I mean, I don't know if this is like scientifically proven, but I know that a lot of people plant and harvest crops based on moon phases. A lot of gardeners think that it impacts the growth and yield of their growth. Yield of their growth. No, it impacts the growth and like how well they I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Some people believe that planting during a waxing moon, so waxing moon is when it's new moon to full moon. So I believe, I might be wrong on this, it looks like a C when it's waxing and a backwards C when it's waning. I might have that wrong. I should probably have written this down. So a lot of gardeners and whatever plant during the waxing moon, and because it promotes above ground growth. And they think that while planting during a waning moon, which is full moon to new moon, encourages root development. So interesting. If you're into gardening, that's some fun facts. What's better though? Do you want root development or do you want above ground growth? I guess it depends on the plants you're planting. Another way that, I mentioned this before, but another way that the moon affects us is our sleep patterns. There's been studies that have suggested that lunar phases can influence our sleep patterns. Some people have reported experiencing poor sleep quality or disruptions during the full moon. Absolutely, that's me. I was up half the night last night. I'm just like, I also have this like bubbling in my chest. It's like these bees. It's like enhanced anxiety during the full moon. What else? Human sleep patterns. Evidence have suggested that lunar phases can affect human emotions and behavior. So just like what I was saying, I'm definitely like affected by the moon. Lots of people report feeling more energetic, or, which is what I'm going through right now, more emotional during a full moon. I feel like different moons affect me in different ways. Sometimes I'm like amped the fuck up during a full moon. I'm like, yes, I have so many ideas. I'm amazing. I'm going to do this and this and this. And other times I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need to meditate. I don't know what's going on with my body. I feel so energetically frazzled. So I guess it really depends on what is happening in your life at that period of time. But it's important to listen to those things, right? people sometimes connect the lunar phases to menstrual cycles as well. Menstruation, the term itself, is derived from the Latin word menses, meaning month, highlighting the connection between lunar and menstrual cycles. Some cultures and traditions have linked women's menstrual cycles to lunar phases. The scientific evidence isn't really, there's not much on that, but I have a couple books on this that I don't know, I feel I believe it. And there's a cool app actually that, oh my gosh, what's it called? There's an app where you can track your own menstrual cycle, but as well, it also tracks the moon cycle. And I find it really helpful. You can put in your mood, like all your symptoms throughout the month, so you kind of know what's going to happen the following month. When you start feeling agitated, you can look on the thing and be like, oh, okay, this is the time that I feel this way. And so I need to, maybe drink 1 cup of coffee less today or something. Like, if you pay attention to these cycles, you are better prepared to deal with them and to understand what your body needs and your mind needs and all that stuff. So very important. What else? A lot of cultures have incorporated lunar phases into their spiritual and religious traditions. If you go on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, during the full moon, everyone's burning stuff. You write down, things that are no longer serving you. You burn them. You write down what you want. Burn it. It's a good time for manifesting, all that fun stuff. This is interesting. The lunar calendar plays a central role in determining dates for various festivals and holidays in different cultures. What else did I want to talk about? That's not, sorry, I was just reading that off of there. Hormonal cycles. Oh, yes. Okay. So I talked about the female hormonal cycles. It's usually 28 days. So what happens is we're having all these different hormones happening throughout our cycle, and men are different, right? Men have more of an 8-day cycle. They also have more ups and downs throughout the day. And I came up with this concept a while ago after listening to, not concept, I think I mentioned this before. I listened to Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard. He was saying in one episode how if he has a new idea, he has to wait 8 days before he acts on it, because within those 8 days, his whole creative whatever can change. Like your inspiration changes, right? So for me, I know for sure, without a doubt, that throughout the month, I have periods of extreme creativity where I said it in one of my last podcasts about how I wrote 6 chapters of my book and I was like, go, go, go. And that's when I was putting out a lot of podcasts. That's my creative energy zone. I'm amped up. It comes so naturally to me. I am so productive and incredible. But if you look at me last week, I was a shell of that person. I was not the same person, but I just listened to my body, and now I'm feeling better and I'm getting back into it. And I had to go through that. But where was I going with this? So say you're on a 30-day cycle. If you have a new business idea or a new something inspiring that's super exciting, write your idea down. And then before, buying the website or before, starting an Instagram account or whatever, you can do it, but just know that through your cycle, there's going to be periods where that doesn't even interest you anymore, and if that's the case, maybe it's not the right thing, or maybe we're not supposed to be doing the same thing all the time, every day, I don't know. I think for me personally, I'm a multi-passionate, creative. I like a variety in my life. And I know that's not for everyone. I was just talking to a friend and I was saying how if I have to sit, because the last 20 years of my life, I've been sitting on a computer, working in an office, working at home, but working constantly, eight to five kind of thing every day. And then on weekends too. And I always did freelance work at night. So I was on the computer way too much, way, way, way too much. Um, and now I'm like, if I have to do that work for the rest of my life, I don't think, I don't think I'll survive. Like I think my body will probably start, like I think of like cancer and like stress and how stress causes like disease and inflammation in your body. And I think if I were to continue to do that, like I know this from, you know, just experience, I wouldn't survive. I would not live a full life for sure, or a happy life even. I feel like I was able to do it in my 20s, and the people surrounding me were enough to get me through the days kind of thing. But now in my life, I know that it's not going to work for me anymore. So as a multi-passionate creative and just person, I need to be doing various things. So I do random work for clients. I'm doing this. I'm writing a book. Um, I'm going for my Reiki. I'm kind of like exploring different ways to improve myself and reinvent myself, because the thought of being on a computer every day, not okay. But I was talking to my friend today, and she was like, I love sitting on a computer all day. I like the structure of it. I like that I have my tasks and I get them done, and then like work is work, and then I have my life after. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. And I think that it's so wonderful that we have so many different types of people in this world. So if you're happy doing that, that's wonderful. For me, I can't anymore, you know? And this is like the cycle of my life. If you think about an entire life being a cycle, I had my childhood, and then I had my 20s where I was like, go, I had so much fun in my 20s, but it was like, I never took a break. I worked my ass off. I went through college. I had a kid when I was younger. I went through college. I worked, and then I got a job, and then, on the weekends I would go out with my friends. I never took a time to rest ever. And then now I'm approaching, and then in the 30s it kind of continued. I had more babies. Like I grew my family, and so my life is like work, then come home and work, and then work, 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 and then eventually I just felt like, no, this is not this is not working. I am like falling down this rabbit hole of depression, because it's just not who I am, I think, at a soul level. And I think um eventually we all kind of go through this, like, maybe we don't. Maybe your whole life you don't go through this, but a lot of people go through like a moment where you're like, what am I doing? And how can I make this better? And if you're feeling like that, start listening to the seasons that you go through in life. Your full life, think of it as a season, like as, summer, winter, fall, whatever. There's different phases of our life. Maybe I should say phases instead of seasons. Um, but it's hard to be the same person your entire life. There's things that happen in your life that change you. I just watched this documentary on Netflix. It just came out yesterday, and I was like ready to watch it as soon as it came out, because I saw the preview and I was like, yes, this is for me. It's called Encounters. So if you have a chance to watch it, let me know what you think. I'm like super into learning about all things unknown, which makes people uncomfortable, but I love learning about the unknown. So this is all about UFOs, but it gets into like more spiritual stuff too. I thought it was really well done. Why did I tell you that? What was the point of that? Oh man, I'll keep walking. So I watched this documentary, and it was really interesting. Oh, I hate that I lost it. I hate that I lost it. Oh well. Watch the documentary. I think um I think you'll enjoy it. And if you don't, that's okay too. All right. I'm gonna move on to the next thing because I can't remember that, but I'll try to get back into it. So the reason I wanted to make this podcast is because I feel like we have this like cultural pressure to push through challenges and glorify the constant productivity. Um, like we're supposed to be Energizer bunnies, but we don't actually have a battery pack, you know? And if we do, eventually we need to recharge, right? Um, I feel like if we don't take time for breaks, there's a lot of consequences, um, which can include burnout or mental health problems. It's so important that we listen to our bodies and minds and embrace periods of rest, because it's essential for growth. It is essential for growth to take rest. And for me, a lot of my rest is like meditating or just like having some space to be alone. But what is the magical thing about taking that time to rest is that's when the best ideas come to you. And maybe there's two types of brains. We have the growth mindset and then the fixed mindset. And a lot of people have a fixed brain, and I think it's like part of your neurological makeup. I could be wrong on this, but if you are in that kind of brain, you're not kind of looking to expand. And these are the people that, if you're very spiritual or whatever, like me, you might have a harder time connecting to someone who has a fixed mindset. I have a growth mindset, so I'm always like looking at how I can grow as a human being, but like also grow my business and grow financially and grow in many ways, right? Grow as an emotional support system for my kids. Like there's always room for growth and always room for learning. And if you don't take those times to rest, a lot of times the growth doesn't happen because you need to take a break. Like an example of this is I was getting my car fixed the other day, and the guy was like, "Oh, it's gonna be a couple hours," and I was like, "I could go home and easily work for 3 hours, or I could go to the forest and sit by a tree and meditate. What should I do?" So I went to the forest and I meditated, and it was a beautiful thing. And you know what? I got so many amazing ideas. It's where I got my book idea. Like there's so much comes to you. And also when you meditate, this is what happens every time I meditate and I have like a serious problem in my life. I meditate and the solution comes so naturally in such a weird way that you wouldn't expect. And meditating isn't just like sitting there and thinking about how to solve your problem. It's like trying to free your mind from all the noise and garbage. And that's when the good stuff comes in. You have to get rid of all the stressors and stuff to allow the good stuff. So anyways, my point of this podcast is listen to your body and understand that throughout your life, you change a lot. You grow a lot. And the person you were today might not be the person you were yesterday. And, we go through different types of cycles, your entire life cycle, yearly cycles, monthly cycles. And if you just ignore it, and never take time to rest, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity to grow as an individual in this world. And maybe that's not important to you, but for me, I feel like the reason I am on this earth is to learn and grow, and to help other people learn and grow. And a lot of my growth comes from doing nothing. And it kind of sounds like I'm just being a lazy little turd, but if I do nothing some days, it's because I need to do nothing. Sometimes I retreat and I don't talk to anyone for a whole day. And other times I'm like, go, go, go all day long. And I'm able to be go, go, go all day long because I take those times in my life to listen to my own needs. I hope this makes sense. I feel like I rambled a lot in this episode, but I hope this reaches whoever it needs to reach. Understand if you're having a hard time and things just feel overwhelming, take a sick day, take a personal day, meditate, do something, go swimming, I don't know, go for a nice long walk in the forest. Sorry, my dog's barking. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go outside. Yeah, I think that's it for today. I feel like I've lost my train of thought, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. Also, this is like part of my phase that words aren't coming easily to me, as you can probably tell by this episode, but I really wanted to get this out because I think it's such an important thing that we know, like, that you recognize that we can't live in a state of adrenaline all the time. It's not normal for us to act like the Energizer Bunny. And it's okay. It's okay to rest. Take some time for yourself. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy the full moon. Burn some stuff. And, I hope you have a great day. Thanks.